Welcome to another episode of Multifamily Collective Conversations. I'm your host, Mike Brewer, and today I am joined by Joe Settimi, Vice President of Assurant.
Hey, Mike,
Joe, welcome to the
here.
show.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to have this discussion with you today. When I read through this press release, there's an interesting sort of, I'll say a thing I've not thought of in the past. And so I'll be interested to unpack that. But before we do that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself to the audience, and tell us a little bit about Assurant.
Let's see. I came into Assurant a couple of years ago via an acquisition. I previously spent many years in the wireless business, kind of broad responsibilities for driving customer and revenue growth, creating new product innovations, and really focused on delivering great customer experiences. And in fact, actually, during that time, I was a client of Assurant for many years. And among other successes, we partnered to launch an industry-first mobile protection product and achieve some of the highest product attachment customer sat rates in the country. So, when all of a sudden I came over to Assurant, it was a comfortable group. It was a group I knew well, and actually had been quite impressed with them, having been their client. Earlier this year, I was asked to come over to the global housing business to lead the product team for our renter solutions group. Again, with an eye towards growth, continuing our long history of product innovation and really just leveraging tech to create seamless digital experiences for both for renters and PMC clients alike. And it's been a great experience so far. Lots to learn, of course. But, Assurant's a leader in the space, and particularly in the market for renters insurance. We have a fast growing deposit alternative business. And so it was a good time to come over. In terms of Assurant, we're a Fortune 500 company. Our goal is to help people thrive in a connected world. And so we do this by partnering with the world's leading brands to develop innovative solutions and, again, really deliver on great customer experiences. Our brand doesn't tend to be out front. We, tend to provide the products and services that support the value prop and brands of our partners. We play in several different industries, but a focus on housing, automotive, and mobile, and we operate globally. So, importantly, I think we've been in the renter space for 20 plus years. We're proud to call, 50% plus of the top 50 PMCs our partners. And, every day we try and help make renters and PMCs' lives easier.
Gotcha. I appreciate you making that introduction to the company and to yourself. It's interesting. I probably, as evidenced by my gray beard, I've been around the industry a very long time. And I think I may be mistaken, but I was part of a team that was in the early innings of Assurant being introduced into the marketplace in the renters insurance space.
Is that right?
About 20 years ago. So it seems like it was about 20 years ago.
So much has happened since I think innovation is fairly often kind of a buzzword. But I would say, if you go back, or people that have known Assurant for a long time, it really is truly part of our DNA. Across the business segments, we have a really strong track record of continuing to innovate with our partners, and it really is, with them. And it's to create more value for the partners and their customers, and continues to be a focus of ours. I know as a company, we're proud. We were just recently named one of the most innovative companies again by Fortune, and so it's something that we really put into practice with our teams. We talk about a lot. And it's, of course, then nice to be recognized.
It's congratulations, by the way. And, it's interesting to me with technology, not just germane to the property management space, but just broadly speaking, the rate of change as it relates to technology and, innovation, it happens in the blink of an eye anymore. And it, in my head, it's almost impossible to keep up. And so I am interested, how does a company like Assurant, because you can make any bet you want, probably, how do you sort of narrow the field to make the bets that you think are going to yield down the road for you, for your partners, et cetera?
I think it's one thing one thing is having this, a diverse representation. I don't mean just within country, but but globally, right? So we see a lot of different things in, again, different industries, but all where, when you think about the connected world and connected life, they're all coming together, right? Housing, automotive, and then the mobile and mobile lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And so serving partners in
Right.
those industries, they really are more and more connected than ever. And so, again, what happens perhaps first in one country, as mobile took off first in different countries. The US wasn't obviously the first, right?
Sure.
And in fact, it was more in countries where you couldn't string, telecom lines across. And so they, by necessity, were early to mobile. And so things like that happen. And so we bring those to our various businesses across the globe. And that allows us, through kind of really collaborative means across our business units to leverage those innovations. I think, one that we've recently been talking about, our Personal Tech Pro kind of concierge technical support service. So this is actually an innovative service that we initially built in another line of business. But again, the breadth of our company experience allowed it then to be leveraged across industries. And I think it's probably unmatched, certainly when I think about housing, where no other renter solution provider can bring something like that. That's not necessarily a natural, fit for them. But for us, because of things going on globally, it's a service we built and we're now leveraging. So, specifically, it's think about it as like a high tech, high quality, like premium technical support solution. So helps customers, whoever the end customer is, with virtually any consumer electronic device. The support folks there are not your, tier one kind of call up for technical support on something. These are like expert level tech analysts, highly educated. I think they average more than like 9 years of technical support experience, and then they get into something like this. I've been to the facility. It's amazing. The center has sections set up just like a connected home with all of the various products, set like in a family room, in a kitchen, things like that, so that the techs can get hands-on experience as new products hit the market.
So what I hear you saying is they have these mimics of like real living rooms or kitchens or whatever, and they can create simulations where these technicians can get real reps, like real world reps, before they actually go out and serve an end user customer. Is that
And
what I hear
they,
you saying?
they're going through all these products for months before they're actually supporting an end customer. I think
Yeah.
a really important aspect of it is that, unlike a kind of a typical technical support line, the focus is actually on first time resolution and customer sat versus minimizing call handle time, right? I mean, most companies, you're trying to minimize the call handle time to minimize cost.
Yeah.
But we know if you don't solve something, A, you don't have a happy customer, but B, oftentimes you're just getting a repeat call. So the result of this focus is a customer sat rating of like 486, a net promoter score of 85, which, is through the roof. I think you probably know, but like for context, everyone loves Starbucks. They're 77 and they're 10th on the list of NPS at 77. So, it has an NPS of 85 and a resolution rate of 99%. So really focused on that consumer call, their issue, finding them a solution and handling it however they want it to be handled. So moving it into housing, the service gives a property manager the option to provide a turnkey solution where residents are then supported in the way that they want: call, chat, video conference with one of our technical solution center folks to help them troubleshoot really any issue that they may be having with their connected device. It's essentially a white glove amenity offering for residents so that property managers don't have to handle it, right? It aligns directly to our mission as a company to help keep consumers connected, and certainly a support then for our PMC partners to offer within their communities.
So now, is this a standalone product to, say, renters insurance or other products that you might serve into the ecosystem, or is it something that it bolts on to an existing
So
policy?
clients today, again, who might have our renters or maybe our deposit alternative products, can add this on as, again, just a service to their communities, to their PMC or their communities that they want to offer it to residents, and can be included right in as part of their rent, as part of their being, within that community.
That makes sense. It was interesting. I was reading through the article that was recently published in Multifamily Executive, and I was just blown away by the percentage of renters that actually would be attracted to a product like this. And it went across generations, right? Older and younger generations. And I know there are a couple of different variations of what your offering is. It seemed like either I'm going to call it forced placement. You have a
Like
better word for it, but
like an embedded
or versus
offer
an
as part.
optional.
Yeah.
Yes, that's much
I like
better.
to think of it as like an included benefit, essentially, right?
Yeah, do you want to unpack
you're moving
that
into
a
this
bit?
community, and one of the included benefits, just like maybe a gym, is this concierge technical support.
Yeah, that's actually a much better way to put it than I just said it. But and thank you for that. But I know there's a one might imagine that an older generation like myself would probably be more attracted to a service like this because it's the old hey son, can you actually read the instructions and set up the VCR versus me just trying to painfully make my way through it versus a younger generation who seems they're sort of technical denizens, right? They just wake up and have like iPads
born with one in their hands. It seems like it.
Right, that's right. So is there a level of what did you find in your data in terms of the levelness of attractiveness for those
I think, first of all, across the board, we found that about 20% of all residents, so across age demographics, said that they need technical assistance on a regular basis. And to your point, while certainly a little bit less in the younger generations, there were still a really good chunk that said, yeah, I mean, I run into things and I don't want to spend time, trying to figure, like, if I can't figure it out, like, it's because it's like binary, right? It's like, it's done in 30 seconds, or it might get shelved in from a product perspective. And I, know this having come from wireless, this was a big issue, was like someone opened the box, and if it couldn't be done immediately, it oftentimes got returned because they don't want to, kind of waste time figuring it out. And I think this is a way where, especially, there's such proliferation of products all from different brands. So it's not like I can call one place otherwise and get, my 6 things hooked up. It's a rare where that's the case, right? And so, but with this service, of course, you can, because we'll help the consumer through anything, through any connected device, regardless of, the brand, the OEM, et cetera. But back to, the research, I think even we were maybe a little surprised that from the research from the Insights team showed that 86% of renters indicated adding a tech support service to their building would really significantly increase their perception of the PMC. And it was more than 50% said it would skew even a choice of community when comparing a couple. And so, it was great, but I think it also just speaks to the fact that the living experience has changed, right? When a resident moves in, not only are they bringing their own, smart TVs and connected speakers and other connected devices with them. I mean, I forget the number now, but it's more than 20 that, are in the typical, when you tablets and laptops and just, everything, right? But then it's the connected technology that awaits you in the community as well. So those can be thermostats, locks, potentially fridges, things like that. So now a part of the move-in experience is connecting all of those devices, which can be frustrating at times. And especially, like we said, when so many of these products are from multiple providers. So while properties can assist their residents with traditional maintenance items, they aren't really equipped to help a resident get a smart TV working or getting their laptop connected or some other, different connected device.
That makes sense. In I guess just for my own curiosity, the service is just a service, not a hardware provider in any way, shape, or form. Or is there a hardware component?
No.
Yeah. And then, so I have to imagine this wasn't in the 1,000 people that were surveyed. They were renters, or at least the way I read the article, they were renters. my imagination tells me that property management companies, or PMCs, as you're referring to them, the time savings, because property managers wear the hat of the psychologist, the tech person, the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? I imagine there's some time savings, and you've probably heard that data, even if it's
We
anecdotal. Is
have,
that fair to
and
say?
it wasn't in that survey per se, because you're right, that was to consumers, but we hear it all the time just in our business generally, right? Like, so when they're talking to us about technology and seamless experiences for signing up for our other products that we work on with them, like renters, like deposit alternatives, there is a great focus now on making that as simple, seamless as possible so that they can be out of that work, right? Like they want it to, they want to have that interaction. They want to make sure that they're covered. They want to make sure that their consumer, the renter, is covered. But if they don't have to be involved with it, no question, you're right, even better. I mean, they have so many things to do today, and it really is, it's, from upfront screening through all the things that they're getting asked, on a daily basis. Part of our job and being a good partner and leverage technology is helping them get out of some of those things as well.
Yeah, having spent time in all the seats of property management, it seems to me, obviously every position has its demand, and your role and responsibility has demands baked in, but the property manager, one minute you can be consoling someone who's just gone through something traumatic in their life, and the next minute you're assisting the fire department putting out, God
Yeah,
forbid,
yeah.
a fire in your community. Like,
Someone's locked
it's all
out
over the
and they're
board.
coming to
and
you.
and then
And there's a myriad,
yeah,
myriad things that happen today,
that's exactly right. So to the idea that you can take a service like this and embed it into your offering, and it gives you time back. Basically, it gives you some of your time back to
Yeah.
to focus on those other things. I only see that
Yeah,
as a
it's not only,
win-win.
you're exactly right. It's not only beneficial to the renter, because you solve some pain points for them and some frustrations for them, but you create time, for your folks, within the community, the leadership within the community, and they're able to focus on honestly what's really important there.
That's right. Now, in terms of the cost, is that something that is direct to the user, or is that something that you found that a
Yeah.
property management company might? They're obviously probably baking it back into the rent, but I'm just curious how that
There's
gets
both models, honestly.
administered.
So whether it's embedded, so whether working
Okay.
with our partner, they embed it and kind of either build it into the community fee or things like that, or whether it's something that they offer. We can easily handle both. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm just curious how in terms of rolling this out, or having rolled it out, is it the uptake has been pretty dramatic, or kind of how many units do you
Yeah.
have this
So
in thus
it's
far?
new in this business. So we're just rolling it out now in this business,
Okay.
but we have successfully rolled it out, globally, in multiple other businesses. And again, with the kind of continued proliferation of connected devices, it's just gotten more and more popular over time, over the last couple of years. And now, I think it's such a natural working within the housing, business, because so much of the connected things that are coming out are actually, that's what they're for, right? They're in your home, and you kind of look around, whether it's
Yeah.
thermostats, potentially cameras, certainly, locks. I have a lot of those things in mind. I'm always kind of amazed when I go through the list on my phone, having to go find, and it's like, now I'm going down further and further, paging down further and further to get to the one that I want. But it just reminds me, just for myself, how many I've got.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I love advocating for stuff like this that just intuitively makes sense to me in terms of a consumer experience or a team member experience. I tend to look through those two lenses, and I'm a subscriber to, I think it was Peter Drucker that suggested that if you take care of your team members, and you do that really, really well, you serve them really well, then they're going to serve the
Yes.
consumer really well. And to me, this type of product, it kind of hits both of those consumer groups. I'm going to label them as
Yeah.
consumer groups, but it seems like a
Yeah.
win-win for both of
Yep.
them.
Absolutely. totally agree. There's so many good different use cases and positive use cases, and actually, and it's fun when one of them comes up that you hadn't, thought of before, and it can be with, I don't know, just as simple as something as like you need a dog walker that you didn't realize you're caught at work, and just send a one-time code, and someone goes in, they get, and it's just, there's so many positive things I think that can come out of it, than now leveraging these different technologies.
I have I'm going to take maybe a hard left turn. It's changing the subject slightly, and it's really a curiosity that I've had for a long bit of time. In my head, an insurance related company, not implying Assurant, because I think maybe it's a little bit different, but at some point, insurance organizations can come into the built environment. Since we're talking about housing, let's say apartment communities, and they can assist, because in properties that are already built, installing an infrastructure that is supportive of all these things that are being put into the ecosystem today, right? That are all, either wireless or 5G, 4G, whatever it's built on. Supporting the install of that infrastructure, meaning helping owners bear the cost of doing it, in my head would drive down insurance costs, so they can make an upfront investment in and drive down insurance costs. Because if you have leak detectors, if you have sort of fire detectors, or if you have sensors that are telling you that the amperage of the stove is pulling differently, or the water heater is pulling, or something, it's pre-diagnosing a problem that is about to happen that could be really catastrophic. Is that something you've ever heard about, or been aware of, or entertained?
At all, actually. So definitely have heard of it. I think we've seen some examples on the market of like early days, of some of the connected device companies partnering perhaps with an insurance company. Whether we'll see how that goes going forward. I think certainly conceptually what you're talking about, though, makes perfect sense, right? The awareness, the kind of the early alert, to be able to, before you do have big problems. And then, from an insurance company perspective, I think, of course, they're looking at it as, okay, if I can prevent something from happening or help prevent something from happening down the road, it should be a win-win for everybody. So I do think those, leveraging sensors, whether it's partnering directly with those firms, or being able to pull data from various things, non-personal data from those to get alerts, to provide warnings, all of that will help our industry going forward, no doubt.
Yeah, I think it really speaks to my heart as an operator, because we've seen a real escalation in the price of insurance over the last couple of years, and certainly based on real and catastrophic events that have happened in the world. But at some point, you need to think. We need to collectively think about solutions that help get that coming the other direction.
Yeah, I think we've certainly seen that as well. And if you look at kind of any of the reports from analysts or others, or earnings reports, you'll see kind of severity up pretty significantly across the board. And again, you start thinking about inflation and what that's brought from in all facets of consumer lives, right? Prices have gone up, and so it has also on the commercial side. Let's say when you're replacing, whether that's in auto, whether that's in home, etc.
Yeah, certainly so. I don't necessarily throw it all in the bucket of profiteering. I think it's just everything in general has just come up, but I think we work in an industry and in a world where you use the word innovation at the lead of this conversation. I think there is a lot of innovation that is happening cross disciplines that will hopefully benefit all of us in the near future. So your focus as of late has been the Personal Tech Pro part of Assurant, rolling that business line out. Are there things on the horizon? Certainly, we want to advocate for that here on the show. Certainly have you share where people can get in touch with you and things of that nature. But are there things you're looking at down the road that you think would be interesting to share here today with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, even as we just think about like changes, what have been kind of recent changes to the industry. I think one of the bigger things that we've seen and probably momentum even picking up faster is the digital tools and experiences, right? And those changing kind of the complete life cycle from a resident perspective, right? So from initial tenant screening through move in and out, we see a lot of success with digital tools. And so for us specifically, we've had a great response to, we have a fast growing deposit alternative product called Flex Deposit. We have, an industry leading renters pay with rent option called Cover 360. Residents love the idea of lower cost move in, right? That comes with deposit alternatives. And from a property manager's perspective, they obviously enjoy the risk mitigation factors, right? While still being able to attract qualified candidates and help them get, more quickly into an open unit, right? Because of kind of an affordability, making it more affordable to more quickly move in. Once a resident's qualified, that option to bundle the renter's insurance. So again, as you think about embedded experiences and you're going online, you're going perhaps through a virtual tour. You're finding, a couple different places. You're going through a virtual tour, and then you're going through kind of a sign up process, right? And certainly on the property management side, they're validating you as a potential renter. So there's that kind of tenant screening piece that has been digitized and made digital, right? But then that's going right through and saying, okay, you found it, you're approved. Now let's take care of a security deposit. So, again, we can do that right embedded within the journey of the property management, partner. Then, okay, we need renters. We want you to get renters, both kind of liability and personal coverage. Again, we'll take care of that through, at least for us, through our Cover 360 product. So that's then built into they just build that right into your rent. So it's, again, simple. It's simple. You're not kind of essentially having to work with a separate provider because it's being collected right through your community. And so, great for the coverage for the renter, great for the PMC, of course, to reduce the risk of residents and making sure that there's sufficient coverage. And I think that whole experience then from move in and then through move out, again, when you think about the digital nature, Assurant recently signed a multi-year partnership with Updater. And so we'll now be the preferred renters insurance provider for Updater. They are, you smile, so I think you probably know they're the fastest growing resident onboarding and relocation company. So they've digitized that whole experience. And so that partnership will include an integration, essentially that embeds Assurant's leading renters insurance product into their moving app that Updater provides to PMC clients. So really to drive that frictionless move-in experience for renters. And we're really excited about the partnership. I think together we'll continue to bring innovative solutions to the industry. And I also think you'll continue to see partnerships like this because, there's been new entrants into the industry. And, frankly, what I've seen in my relatively short tenure here is that those companies are looking at a company like Assurant to partner with because we have deep expertise in the space. We certainly have a long tenure and we have a history of success. And so us bringing things together, like our solutions, like renters with their really great, like in Updater's case, their great digital flow for a renter, again, win-win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I smile at Updater because we're big fans
Great.
of Updater. So congratulations on that partnership.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we're excited.
So as I was listening to that, I couldn't help but to think about, and I hate to bring up AI or ChatGPT or things of that nature, but I talk about that a lot on this show, and I'm just interested to know if along that resident life cycle, are there areas where Assurant is thinking about how a machine learning or AI or other buzzwords sort of fit in and facilitate that journey?
Yes. So we are, in fact, I actually have an internal call tomorrow with a group that has been deep into generative AI. I think particularly for products that customers have a lot of questions. So it goes back to freeing up the property manager. So the combination of freeing up the property manager and more happening online from a renter perspective, just being able to do more from wherever they are instead of having to. I do remember kind of the old days where you got kind of your list and you went out around town and you literally went to every place, right? And it's almost unheard of now. And so as part of that process, how do we leverage generative AI and machine learning around? So what are the things that because as time passes, it's like the newest question. What are the latest things that people are either we're not clear about, they're not understanding, we can share more and better. And so learning through that as to what information we need to be putting out, and getting smarter about when and how we provide it, so that as they're learning about products like a deposit alternative, right? Like, I don't think everybody knows what they are. By name, it's fairly obvious, but what exactly it means, what does it cover, what does it cost, and what am I really getting for that, right? There's different flavors of them out there too, as I'm sure you know. So, because over the last several years, where some of the prop tech that are kind of fintech related, insurtech, however you want to look at them and label them, but there's various companies in the space, and they've each focused on kind of maybe a slightly different solution or way about going about it. So, for example, for our deposit alternative called Flex Deposit, it essentially guarantees the landlord full payment up to a coverage amount, right, while charging the renter a nominal fee, either paid one time upfront or monthly. That's a fraction of the traditional deposit. So, multiple benefits. Obviously, you're able to attract and lease up qualified candidates, and your residents don't have the burden of frankly, the growing economic pressures of moving into a new unit with rents that are higher, where everything else is more expensive as well in your life, and coming up with that security deposit in cash, is not often easy, right? And so providing that benefit, but I do think that
that's right.
Being able to leverage something like a ChatGPT or something like that to provide all the answers and provide information about a product like Flex Deposit as an example. I mean, people know renters at this point, but for something like a deposit alternative, to be sure that they really understand what it is, they can get all their questions answered, especially if they're going through a digital flow, and it's like, next step, security deposit. Okay, well, maybe tell me more about this, but it's not a tell me more situation unless you can leverage, something like that.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to me. All these things roll out. I become a practitioner immediately, certainly not an expert, but I try to play with the technologies, and that one has really piqued my interest across disciplines, whether it be our team member journey or customer journey. It seems like you can embed it in just about anything. And then the data you harvest out of those interactions, marrying that together with other data sets out in the marketplace, it just has some fascinating potential. Or at least
I think you're absolutely right. I think, when kind of ChatGPT exploded, or, whatever, I can't remember now. It feels like it was even long ago, but it probably wasn't, I don't know, 3 to 6 months. And I remember going on it, and one of the first things, it was kind of like the first time when you just went on the internet and you were like, okay, now what do I do? Right? I'm here, but what do I do? Right? And so, but I do remember asking it, like, why should I get renter's insurance? And I was like in the middle of where it's what came to mind. And I mean, within 2 seconds, I probably had a 3-paragraph thing that was distilled and smart. And I was like, I copied it and forwarded it to our president of housing, a couple other folks. I was like, wow, like that is a really good answer. And I'm really glad, like, we have to figure out how to leverage. I mean, it's so certainly there are all the caveats of, what it's learning from, what it's being fed, all of that. But I think to the extent that you do that and you harness it in a smart way, it's just, it seems like again, for this industry and so many others, like a no-brainer to leverage for both, educating consumers, and then, as you said, harnessing back what it's being asked to know where you're falling short of doing the right education.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, and I think it's going to be interesting to see it play out over time, because it's, in at least the way I understand, it's getting smarter and smarter all the time, and that really is a function of people putting data in, but also marrying together with data that's out there. Well, I do want to draw us to a close here. I want to give you ample opportunity to. I know we've talked about the launch. You're certainly getting that out into the world today, but I want to give you ample opportunity to sort of put the final spin on it, and then tell people where they can reach out to you and learn more, and hopefully sign
Yeah,
up for the
great.
service.
So, maybe I'll go back to the initial comments around innovation. I think from a company perspective, as I said, it's part of our DNA, and generally the world is obviously not standing still. Change and innovation are continuing at an accelerated rate, as we talked about with generative AI. I mean, it wasn't too many months ago where no one had heard of it, and it's on the news almost every night now. So, consumers are now used to simple and fast digital experiences, and whether it comes to one-click buying experiences or getting around town with a rideshare company, that's what they're comparing you to, and you have to be at a quality that they've gotten used to over several years now. And so you have to evolve as an industry, as a business. You have to evolve to remain relevant, to differentiate, to meet those high consumer expectations. As I said, I think Assurant has been a long time innovator in the multifamily space. I think we were first to integrate the sale of renters insurance through property management companies. We were first to offer a resident as a low cost alternative to a traditional security deposit through the channel, and we were first to kind of offer a comprehensive risk mitigation solution for property management companies. So again, our Cover 360 insurance product that covers both liability for the business and covers the renter's contents, which again are ever growing with connected devices. And now I think with this Personal Tech Pro,
That's right.
helping both sides, both the clients to be able to focus on their business, and the renters who, there's clearly some questions about, while they're leveraging more and more technology, there's clearly questions and challenges, certainly at times, to get all of that set up and settled. And so, we're excited about the service. PropTech space it's exploded in recent years. There's so many new companies and solutions in the market, but I think, for property management companies to really look at those, just make sure, you really have to look and find out the history, and, particularly you look at the market today, it's tough. So if you're reliant on venture capital to keep your business going, it's not always easy. And I think when we talk to a lot of our
That's right.
partners, the fact that Assurant's been around for 100+ years, strong company, but also a strong innovation, eye towards innovation. It's a nice mix, right? Having that together. So we're excited about Personal Tech Pro and what it can bring to our clients, to their renters. And we look forward to working with our property management company partners to roll it out further.
I love it. Where can people reach out to you directly, or is there a website that they could go to if they want to learn more?
So on, going to Assurant, they can certainly get to assurant.com. And the distribution will be through our partners. So again, from a product perspective, but there's you can look up called Pocket Geek. So if they do a search on Pocket Geek, you'll find also links to a product.
Okay, Pocket Geek. All right, we'll put that in the show notes for sure. We'll also link up to the article that we've made reference to several times here in the conversation. We will not link up to Michigan University, just FYI. I had to get something in there like that.
That also tends to be a binary.
Anyway.
You're either go blue or you are anti.
Well, I played basketball at Texas Tech University, so I have to.
Yes,
I have
as you
allegiance
should.
there. So, but Joe, it's been a pleasure. We will definitely link all this stuff up in the show notes so people can learn more, through this podcast and certainly our YouTube channel. But I really appreciate you making some investment of your own time in having this conversation with us today. But anything you would end cap this conversation with?
I was happy to, and appreciate the time, Mike, and thanks for the chat. It was great.
Yep, definitely. All right. And for everyone else, we'll see you next time on Collective Conversations.